Welcome to TMZ Live. If the defense in the Diddy case gets its way, Diddy could be a free man next month, because they have filed a massive document basically setting out their position. And their position is that what he was convicted of amounts to nothing more really than an orgy.
Orgies.
Orgies.
Yes, that he had orgies. Big deal is kind of the tone of the documents that they filed, and they, make their case for him. If you're going to convict him, that this should be a very lenient sentence.
So what they're asking for is this. They are saying, look, he was found not guilty on all the serious charges: racketeering, fraud, force, coercion, rape, all of those found not guilty. He wasn't charged with rape, but it was part of the force issue. The only thing he's left with is the Mann Act, which is taking a prostitute across state lines and paying them for sex. What they're saying is, what that is worth is 14 months in prison and then supervised release for some period thereafter.
Now, we should say that this is what they are, right. Diddy's team is suggesting to the judge. The prosecutors are on the far other end of the spectrum, where they're saying he should get somewhere between 4 to 5 years. That would, I'm sure, include time served. Again, he's been in for a year now.
I got to say,
that would be
throwing the book at him for a Mann Act violation. If he gets 14 months, if the defense gets what they want, he'd essentially get out October 3rd, because
he's been in for
13
a year, months.
And you get 15% credit for time served. So he'd basically be out after the sentence, and then he'd be on supervised release.
Right.
So there's something more, though, and that is
whether or not
he should be sentenced at all.
Yeah, there's this side battle that's going on where they want to throw out the 2 Mann Act convictions. They've won, and they're sort of trying to spike the football and say those Mann Act convictions should be thrown out as well, because all Diddy did was he never actually hired the prostitutes for the purposes of having sex himself. What he did was hire prostitutes, bring them across state lines. He said they said on the stand, the prostitutes, it was for our company, but even if you believe they came for sex, it wasn't for sex with him. He's saying he was the amateur pornographer, he was the voyeur, but the sex was going on between Cassie or Jane and the prostitute. Now, this is a pretty clever argument. I think it's a little too clever, to be honest with you, because
they've made that before.
They have.
Well, there's going to be
but that is, he's right. That is the classic Mann Act, is where you bring a prostitute across state lines for your own purposes.
Yeah, listen, it's an old statute. It's about going out on your wife.
For his purposes, like, I get it. He didn't physically have sex with the prostitutes.
But it's for his sexual gratification.
But it's for his sexual gratification.
I get it.
And who, whether he paid for their company or not, that's the oldest excuse in the book, to say I'm paid for my company and then I happen to have sex.
It's an uphill climb for them to do it.
Yeah.
Well, the judge is going to answer it later this week.
But the thing that the judge also has to consider, with the Mann Act, is there is a history to this. It is a racist law that was passed during Reconstruction to prevent black men from dating white women.
Famously.
And
Jack Johnson.
The boxer, was prosecuted. The black boxer.
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry was prosecuted.
He's also black.
And who was black? I kind of
yes, I know. We assumed that they knew.
There was a fear of black men taking white women across state lines.
But Johnny Cochran in the O.J. Simpson case, famously,
who was also black.
Not prosecuted under the Mann Act, though.
Said to the jury, race plays a part in everything, and they raised that issue. They raised that issue with Diddy.
But hasn't, as far as this case is concerned, that ship has sailed.
I think
they made that argument at the beginning of the trial.
To your point, it preserves it for appeal. You can have these kind of academic arguments, and maybe that they want to have this sideshow go all the way up to the Supreme Court and really argue the Mann Act.
I don't know that it's a sideshow. Mark Agnifilo, who is the lead lawyer in the case, told us when we did our documentary.
And that was 7 months before the trial started.
And told the jury the exact same thing. What he said was, they looked at Diddy, they couldn't go after him for his business, they couldn't go after him for his taxes, so they did the last thing they could possibly do, which is to go into his bedroom. And it was a takedown, they said, of a successful black man. So he made this argument. And he won
on all the major charges.
Argument now and get the charge thrown out.
You're right, but does the judge, is that in the judge's head? Is that in the judge's head?
So that he has a more lenient sentence.
That's right. Whether you look at it, through a prism of look at the history of this law and look at what we're left with.
Right.
Do you think it's more likely the opposite is in the judge's head, that Diddy somehow convinced a jury through very successful lawyering to get the major charges thrown out, and I still want to punish him even though all I have is 2 minor offenses?
Oh, I hope the judge can't think that.
Yeah.
He shouldn't, but he's a human.
You want the judge to go like, oh, he just had great lawyers, so now I need to punish him?
The law is supposed to be dispassionate, but it is run by humans, and Harvey knows that as well as I do. That's why the jurors are human. They respond to evidence in certain ways, so do judges.
If the judge is looking for a pound of flesh, that could backfire for the judge if he wants to be on the appellate court.
Without question.
Hey guys, I'm Joy Daly from New York City, and I believe that Diddy has been sitting in prison behaving himself for over a year. And for the first time in 2 decades, he is clean as a whistle in terms of his sobriety. So I hope that Diddy learned his lesson and he doesn't make any more of these dangerous mistakes, because I believe this entire experience has changed his entire life, shook him to his core, his whole life flashed before his eyes. And I just can't wait to see the outcome of this trial.
Well, we will see. October 3rd is the sentencing, and that's, a week and a half away.
Yes, indeed.
So we will hear.
Well, we are just a few hours away from the return of Jimmy Kimmel. The question is
it the old Jimmy? Is it the OG Jimmy Kimmel?
Or is it a neutered Jimmy Kimmel?
Or a neutered one? So the 2 questions that people are asking is, one, does he apologize? Does he apologize for the comment about the right looking for any which way to move it,
the alleged killer,
the assassination of Charlie Kirk away from them with this alleged killer? 2, and Charles and I have been arguing about this all morning, and I think this is the bigger issue, is going forward, does Jimmy Kimmel pull back? Because when you look at ABC's statement that says they're bringing him back tonight, it said, after thoughtful conversations with Jimmy.
Right.
I don't know how you interpret that.
So what's the bigger topic here? What his show and what his behavior is going to be like long term, or this apology? Both speak to censorship. Which is more censorship? Because if he doesn't apologize, by the way, there are 80-something, I think 81 stations that are still not going to air Jimmy Kimmel tonight, because and those are the Sinclair and Nexstar owned stations, and they're saying, there's a report that says that they want to know that he's going to apologize, and they want assurances that he is going to be a good boy, for lack of a better term.
But I think the good boy part is the big part. And look, when they say we had thoughtful conversations with him, that's the woodshed, folks.
Did those thoughtful conversations include talks about the FCC? Because if it did, then it's all about censorship.
What they're going to say, look, what I can hear Bob Iger, who's the monkey muck there, I can hear Bob Iger saying, look, we are in a business, and the business is broadcasting. And when you have 80-plus stations that are boycotting you, you don't have a sustainable business. So let's figure out a way going forward where you can tell jokes about the president, maybe, for example, today, where the teleprompter didn't work at the UN, and he made comments about it, and you can tell jokes about it versus arguing policy. Right. And again, I'm making this up, but I can hear that conversation in my mind. And
yeah, I mean, look, it is a business they're running, but also, Bob Iger knows they're running a business that took a major hit over the last week with people boycotting, right? With people dropping their subscriptions to Hulu, to Disney Plus.
And
that's something else he's got to deal with.
And the entertainment business now is all about mergers, that it's all about Pac-Man, where one company eats another. And Disney is in that business. And, they have now heard from the chairman of the FCC. And so, however the head of Disney frames it, that's got to be a
You're
huge...
still kind of dealing with censorship.
That's right.
You can do it the easy way or the hard way?
Easy way or hard way? Easy way or hard way?
I think today is going to be a massive audience, right? Given that we're going to have like a third of the country that can't see it if they wanted to. But I've got to imagine so many people are going to be watching this tonight, too.
Claudia from Texas. I'm glad Kimmel's back. I don't think he needs to apologize. Imagine being so thin-skinned you had to sick the FCC on a comedian because you can't take a joke. Let's be crystal clear, too. Bringing Jimmy back wasn't Disney's choice. The American people collectively stood up for our rights and demanded it. That's why it matters.
Yeah,
Trump
but
just lost this culture war.
But how's he coming back? That's the question. You say you demanded it.
You got him back.
Are you getting
that may be true.
Are you getting the Jimmy Kimmel you had before or a new one?
I don't think he's going to apologize, and I think he's going to stand up for free speech as, you know, Americans kind of supported that.
Respectfully disagree.
We will see.
Coming up.
So pregnant mothers might be in quite a conundrum.
The message that I heard when I watched the news conference was Trump repeatedly saying, don't use Tylenol.
The president agrees with what I'm saying. His effort yesterday was to be impassioned about the fact we're overusing acetaminophen.
Be right back.
So pregnant mothers might be in quite a conundrum here because you had the president yesterday, along with the HHS secretary and Dr. Oz, standing there telling them that you should not take acetaminophen, which is the main ingredient in Tylenol, if you're pregnant, or at least you should
try to
minimize
avoid it.
Try
to avoid it unless you have, an
Although
extreme...
the president used very strong language when he described it.
I want to say it like it is. Don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. If you just can't, it's fight like hell not to take it. There may be a point where you have to, and that you have to work out with yourself. So don't take Tylenol.
But the language that was used certainly was kind of frightening. And I would imagine if I were pregnant and I was watching that yesterday, I would be really scared of what exactly acetaminophen is potentially doing to my unborn child.
We should say, and we're going to bring Dr. Oz on right now, but before I do, there are a lot of people in the medical community who are disputing this, saying that it is safe. So there's kind of a divide now between a lot of people in the medical community and the administration.
Do you believe your president? Do you believe your doctor? If they disagree, what do you do as a patient? Joining us now to talk about this is Dr. Mehmet Oz, who is the administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. As you see, CMS on the wall behind him. Dr. Oz, welcome back to TMZ Live.
God bless you for having me on. Let me take a step back. 6, 8 months ago, the president made it really clear to all of us that he was passionate about autism. He thinks it's a real challenge for families to address this issue without government help. He thinks that women have been gaslit a little bit on the topic. They have been told things about autism. He does not feel we're an honest reflection of what we could do as a government to try to be as transparent as possible. You all know where Secretary Kennedy is on this issue, again, arguing over and over again that we are not sharing breaking news with the American public. We're sort of keeping it close to our vest in government, and that doesn't serve the public. So what happened yesterday was a direct result of that. A few months ago, we were told, and I say we, me, running Medicare and Medicaid, Marty McCary, who runs FDA, and Jay Bhattacharya, who runs NIH, he said, break the silos, though. No more debating in between your organizations and agencies. Just get rid of all that paperwork and that legacy hindrance of your getting the job done. Come to us with answers.
So can I ask for an answer on something that wasn't really addressed yesterday? So we're not experts to argue whether Tylenol does or does not trigger autism. But if a woman who is in her first trimester has a fever,
severe fever,
what I've read is that can cause birth defects if untreated. So it seems to me the conundrum is, do I take the Tylenol to eliminate the fever, or do I risk the fever and therefore risk birth defects? What do you say to that?
Dr. Levin, well said. That's exactly the conundrum. Now, what do you do when you have a problem like that? You should call your doctor. And I want to very transparently say there's been a lot of data that's been written about Tylenol and acetaminophen, the raw material, and autism. It culminated in a massive paper, the best of its kind, from Harvard, the Harvard School of the healthcare group at Harvard. And what they concluded was, after looking at all the data, there's a problem here. I mean, a meaningful problem. So our decision was to share that with the American people. If you have a high fever, as you point out, if you've got significant issues of that nature, you ought to be talking to a doctor anyway, because the cause of the high fever is worrisome. The doctor's almost certainly going to prescribe you something. Tylenol might be one of the things they give. That's not the problem. The problem is someone has a low-grade fever. It's not a big issue, but why not? I'll just pop an extra acetaminophen. Or if they stub their toe, they have a little pain, and so I'm going to take some acetaminophen for that, because why not? It's safe. And we want to warn you, we don't know that's true. It might be true, but we don't know that's true. And there's lots of literature that would cast doubt on the assumption that you should be taking acetaminophen willy-nilly.
It kind of seems like you don't really have answers yet, and this news conference that you had yesterday made, I think a lot of people felt like we've got an answer, when ultimately there really isn't an answer yet, right? That there needs to be more research done to know whether there actually is a causation here.
It's a bit of a canard. That's the classic answer you get with any question you ask about a serious problem. We need more research. Of course we need more research, but I'll give you the timelines. It could take us 5 more years to get more clarity on these issues. What do you tell pregnant women today? Or let's move to the other issue, which was the other headliner of yesterday's news conference. We believe, a mechanism that might explain autism in children, which is the inability of their brains to be able to get and use B vitamins. And so there's a prescription drug called leucovorin that has been found to be helpful in a bunch of studies, 23 studies, hundreds of kids, and we talked to those doctors as well. Now, these are being done at academic centers. It's still ongoing. I asked these doctors, how long till you know for sure if prescription leucovorin really works for reversing autism in these cases? And they said, well, 5 years. What do you tell a mom of a 3-year-old whose kid has autism? Do you tell them to wait 5 years and see? I asked the question, the real question you should ask, what would you do for your child if they had autism? And pretty much across the board, with rare exceptions, they said we would treat them with prescription leucovorin because it's a plausible mechanism. We've already seen benefits that are large enough that it would warrant this, and it's a relatively safe old drug. So again, we could wait. Of course you should wait. Wait as long as you want, but we have to be in motion. We've got to make decisions. And I'll tell you, as a heart surgeon, your biggest enemy in the OR is time. In your time of need, you do not want to be surrounded by intellectuals. You want to be surrounded by people of action, right? We can't put Band-Aids on hemorrhaging arteries. This country has experienced a 5-fold increase in autism in the last 25 years. Who knows how much worse it's going to be 5 years from now? In California, where you are, 1 in 12 boys are reported to have autism. That number is from 1 in 10,000 25 years ago. There's a massive increase. This is not genes. Your genes don't change that fast. So we want to get ahead of this. We're still looking. There's many other ideas that we're examining. When they become available, we're going to talk about it. But you guys, for sure, at TMZ know breaking news matters. We are breaking news. Don't have all the answers, don't have all the suspects, don't have all the witnesses, but we have enough information to come to you and share what we know so you can become involved in the decision-making process.
Okay, final thing. I'm listening to you, and the way I'm receiving what you're saying is you are tempering this more than President Trump did. You're saying that if you have a fever, talk to a doctor. You're not saying absolutely don't use Tylenol. The message that I heard when I watched the news conference was Trump repeatedly saying, don't use Tylenol, don't use Tylenol. If you have to and you can't tough it out, then maybe take it, but don't use Tylenol. You seem to be tempering this more than that.
The president agrees with what I'm saying. We've spoken about it many times over the past few weeks. His effort yesterday was to be impassioned about the fact we're overusing acetaminophen. His caution was, if you have minor problems, get through them without a medication if possible. Take the example of a low-grade fever. And Harvey, you know this, it accelerates your recovery. The virus is killed by the fever, your cells are not, so it helps your body beat off the bad guys. That's why it's an evolutionary advantage to humans that we get fevers.
But for pregnant women, that could cause birth defects.
High fevers, for sure. Not only talk to your doctor, but no one's arguing that point about using acetaminophen. It's a great antipyretic. But if you've got smaller problems, at least think twice before you take it, because it's possible you might have a 99.5 degrees fever and not need to take an acetaminophen, and you'd be okay with that, your doctor would be okay with that, your kid would be okay with that, the company would be okay with that.
Okay.
All right.
That is interesting, and frankly, I think that kind of takes that alarm to some extent away, because it doesn't feel absolute the way, frankly, it did to me yesterday. But we really appreciate you coming on and explaining it, Dr. Oz.
God bless you both. Take care.
Really
All right,
appreciate
thanks.
it.
Coming up.
Mark Wahlberg has put together a new docuseries that is fascinating, especially if you lived in LA when USC was in their heyday with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, because one of their teammates went on not to the pros of football, but I guess you could say the pros of
cartels,
the drug cartels.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
BB Rexa was looking hot on vacation.
Look at the water, too. Did you just say, look at the water?
I mean, I'll be honest, that is what I was looking at. Well, Mark Wahlberg has put together a new docuseries that is, I find fascinating, especially if you're a football fan, college football fan, or if you lived in LA when USC was in their heyday with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, because one of the guys, one of their teammates, went on not to the pros of football, but I guess you could say the pros of
cartels,
the drug cartels. His name is Owen Hansen, and he is the subject of this docuseries called Cocaine Quarterback. Now, hang with me here, Harvey. He actually played tight end at USC. But there's a reason they call him the quarterback when it comes to cocaine.
It flows better, too.
Yes, it just sounds better than, cocaine tight end just doesn't work. Joining us now, the subject of this docuseries, Owen Hansen. Welcome to TMZ Live.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, Owen, tell us about this story, and I'd love to hear how Mark Wahlberg first talked to you about this. We should tell people that you ended up doing some serious time for your involvement in the drug scheme with one of the cartels. You're out now, and now you're the subject of this docuseries. How did this come together?
Yeah, it came together. Back in about 2019, I was writing my book, The California Kid, and I had a big producer come visit me from Canada, out of all places, and he came into the United States Penitentiary of Lompoc. And he says, man, you have a hell of a story, and I want to help you. He goes, I want to help you get it out. I've saw it in Rolling Stones. I've seen it in Vice. He goes, let me just pitch it for you. You got, 21 years in prison. Let me do something for you.
I'm sorry. We have to back it up. You are playing on a legendary team. How did it go from that to a drug cartel?
I thought you'd be busy playing football. I mean, we watched USC back then.
I mean, give us the Reader's Digest version, because I can't wait to see the docuseries. But give us the Reader's Digest version of how you went from A to B.
It started just chasing that, coming from a blue-collar family. My dad was a construction worker and my mom was a librarian. We didn't have money. And when I went to USC, everyone around us has that American Express black card, the BMWs, Mercedes. I was like, man, how am I going to fit in? And I ended up walking on to the USC football team by taking performance-enhancing drugs, anabolic steroids. And that became my little side hustle just to support, keeping up with the Joneses at SC. I would go down to the Tijuana border and literally smuggle across, $500 of steroids at a time and come back to USC and not only inject them, but sell them to my teammates pre-season, before we would get the drug test. And that's where this journey just began, and then my NFL buddies, all my teammates, 70 out of the 2 teams I played with went to the NFL signing multi-million-dollar contracts. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do now?
So, Owen, was it those trips down to Tijuana to get the steroids that introduced you to the people who I presume got you into dealing much more than steroids?
No, it actually happened. I started to become a bookmaker right out of USC. I started to become a bookie for one of the biggest offshore sports betting accounts in Costa Rica. And that led to me taking bets from A-list celebrities, professional athletes. I just used that USC network everywhere I went. I would show those national championship rings and people would want to bet with me. And unbeknownst to me, at one point, I started taking bets from one of my sub-agents that was in Newport Beach. And he had a client that was out of Mexico. And this client of his would drop off duffel bags of $250,000 every week when he would lose. And I was like, man, this guy's an A-list whale. Keep him happy, whoever he is. I don't care. Just keep him happy. And I gave him the VIP treatment, and I got an encrypted phone delivered to me from this customer, and it said, "I like the way you do business. Can you help me out in the U.S.?" And like I told you, he was a VIP customer. I was willing to do anything he asked.
And that's a drug cartel.
And that's
how it started.
So
wow.
I got to say, it's just an amazing story. I'm just wondering, you've now done, I believe, 7 years. You've served 7 years?
No, I did 9 years behind the fence,
9.
and I did another year in a halfway house in Van Nuys, and I just got out.
Okay, so you've done that. I'm fascinated by you because you are wired to try and succeed, and you saw how it got you in trouble. What do you do with your life going forward? Because you are, at your core, you're a businessman. I mean, you figure stuff out. So what are you going to do going forward now, seeing you have that kind of business drive?
You know, I went from selling one kind of ice cream to another. Now it's protein ice cream. It's I created this brand while I was incarcerated. I started literally selling protein ice cream as my hustle to all the guys that worked out on the prison yard, and I would sell them for like $15 a peanut butter jar. And when I got out of prison, I was like, you know, there's nobody that makes a protein ice cream. I'm gonna just go for it and see if I can create something. And as a hustler and a businessman, like you spoke about, I said, you know what? I'm going to create a brand that's from rock bottom. You know, this is a second chance ice cream. It's a redemption story, and I feel people will enjoy it. And going from, you know, putting bad things on the streets to now healthy treats is like my new motto.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to seeing Cocaine Quarterback September 25th on Prime Video. Thanks again, Owen.
Thank you, Owen.
Thanks, guys. Fight on.
Coming up.
Before Jimmy Kimmel actually gets on stage to shoot his show tonight for the big return, I think he has said a lot with a very simple post on social media.
This literally just came up.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. Before Jimmy Kimmel actually gets on stage to shoot his show tonight for the big return, I think he has said a lot with a very simple post on social media.
This literally just came up. After we talked about it before, this just came up.
And I think that this maybe tips his hat a little bit as to what he's going to do.
Not sure I agree with that.
Oh, so here's what he did. He put up this post, a photo with his good friend, the late Norman Lear, said, "Missing this guy today." Do you want to go ahead and decipher, or do you want me to go first?
Well, I think we should first explain the significance of
Norman Lear.
Norman Lear, back in the late 60s, started All
Early
in the
70s.
Family. I guess it was the early 70s.
Yeah.
All in the Family was a seminal, groundbreaking show where he tackled things nobody did on television. He tackled racial issues, but real racial issues, just everything in this show, and went on to do more and more and more of it.
And did it in almost all of his shows. The Jeffersons. Certainly did it. Good Times did it. Maude, I guess.
No, Maude, he had an abortion episode.
That's right.
He had an abortion in Maude. So this guy was absolute center left, but
was
really
all about free speech.
All about free speech, and the networks caved to Norman Lear. That CBS, when they did All in the Family, it was unheard of on CBS to do a show like that. Norman Lear convinced CBS to push ahead, and he did it. And now we're seeing the exact opposite.
And so Jimmy putting that post up just hours before his show, to me, says that he's not going to apologize and that he is going to try to be a hero for free speech.
And so here's what I think. I see that take, and maybe you're right, but the other way of looking at it is that he is saying, I wish we had a world like the world of Norman Lear.
What would Norman
because
Lear
I
do?
miss
okay.
Because he says
I see your point.
No way. Norman Lear never would have apologized. He never would have taken this. And I think Jimmy Kimmel is saying, I wish this guy was still here because he's my mentor and my hero, and I could follow him, but I'm going to have to do this on my own now. If he caves, it's a betrayal of Norman Lear.
So maybe,
if he
to
caves.
Harvey's point, maybe that's what he's saying.
Well,
is when this guy was around.
I understand the point you're saying.
That's
that
how
would be,
it was.
Now that he's
but today,
invoked Norman Lear, it makes it all the more disappointing to his fans and the people that are relying on Jimmy Kimmel not to apologize if he does.
Jimmy Kimmel is in an impossible situation here because he's got 80 plus stations that are boycotting him that he needs back. Because here's the deal. If those stations stay away, that show's going to go away because you can't sustain it economically. Forget about the FCC. At a point, Disney's going to cut the cord because they can't afford to do it.
Right.
So he's in this no-win situation right now in terms of business.
Doesn't he win by forcing Disney's hand? If Disney cancels, Jimmy Kimmel, I looked it up, is worth $60 million.
What's the win?
The win is that you become Tucker
He's got
Carlson.
100 plus people that rely on him, and he cares about that.
I understand that, and that is unfortunate, really unfortunate.
But he cares about
it. But he cannot sell out his principles for that. He just can't.
So the question is, do you sell out? What is the interpretation of selling out? Do you sell out if you worked in this kind of a lane and maybe you move here, or is selling out where you have to do it here?
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
I don't know the answer
to that either.
I don't know the answer, but when ABC said we had a thoughtful conversation with Jimmy, they pressured him.
Yes.
I'm Luberton Kendall from St. Louis. I'm going to be speaking on the Jimmy Kimmel situation, and I really stand with Jimmy Kimmel. I feel like he should be able to practice freedom of speech without have to worry about being reprimanded. And I feel like him personally, Norman Lear, kind of like stands that I'm going to like say how I feel, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
Yeah, we will see. We're hours away, so we will see.
President Trump is going to have a very interesting sight when he gets back to the White House. Some statues went up in front of the White House on the Mall, and it's a statue of President Trump, which normally he'd be all about.
He'd love that.
Statues of himself, except this one has him holding hands with Jeffrey Epstein. And the people who put these statues up here say this is in honor of National Friendship Month. Did you know that September is National Friendship Month?
Did not know that, but the statue right now, as we speak, it's still up. We checked.
Which I'm shocked by, because it's been several hours. It's afternoon
now,
in D.C.
What I find really interesting about this is that he was dogged with this when he went to England, because remember they shot the images up
on the castle,
on the castle.
Yeah.
4 people were arrested for that.
And now back home, he comes back and it's
looking out the window, because that's
nice bookend.
That's what you got to understand. He can look out those windows from the residence, and
which
he
is
sees
why
that.
I think they got to be gone by the time he gets back to D.C.
I would think so.
The White House
not happy at all. So a White House spokesperson said, liberals are free to waste their money however they see fit, but it's not news that Epstein knew Donald Trump because Donald Trump kicked Epstein out of his club for being a creep.
Okay, so again, there is that 2003 letter that has all sorts of intimations
in the birthday
about
book.
What he might have known if he wrote that. He says he did.
He says he didn't. Right.
But I do have a question. What's that statue made of?
I hope it's a cheap material, because if they spend a lot of money, it's going to be melted
normally
down real quick.
Right, but
it's going to be melted down real quick.
It feels bronzy.
It does, but it can't
feels,
be.
but it could be.
So here's my
Those
question.
things take a ton
Here's
of
my
work.
question. This is literally a stone's throw from the White House.
Right.
There is
you have to have good arms.
massive security. How did this happen?
How does this happen in the middle of the night?
You can't just put a statue somewhere, right? You need
By the way,
permit and
well,
all
forget
that.
about
Hold on a second. Isn't the National Guard walking around in D.C.?
The National Guard's walking around D.C.
How did they put these statues up?
Secret Service is is all over that
They're busy
area.
shutting down crime. And
how did this happen?
How do you just? It's happened. But there was what was the other statue that? There was one that went up, and it wasn't attacking Trump. It was something about like TV. But again, they'd put up some statue in the middle of the night. How is this happening?
Across the street from the White House.
Hi, I'm Ash from Nashville, Tennessee, and the fact that this statue is up shows that Trump has some enemies in high places, because how did that happen? It is public knowledge that Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were really good friends once upon a time. And Trump has been trying to separate himself from Epstein ever since all of these allegations have come out. I'll keep my unsolicited opinion to myself, but I find it very suspicious that only bits and pieces of evidence is coming forward and we're being told, don't worry about anything else. Yeah, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, we solicited your opinion.
We solicited that. I think we got a little bit of it at the end there.
Coming up.
The New York Times has just done an investigation. They published this today that have shown multiple allegations against Elon Musk, allegations of sexual abuse of minors, either his children or stepchildren.
Be right back.
Well, Elon Musk has for years famously had a very bad relationship, estranged from his father, Errol. And now the New York Times has just done an investigation. They published this today where they say they've spoken to several other family members and looked over many documents that have shown multiple allegations against Elon Musk, allegations of sexual abuse of minors, either his children or stepchildren, and that people are alleging he has abused and as well just done some very creepy things, at least according to this New York Times report.
You know, I scanned it. Did they in any way bring Elon in?
They did bring Elon into it because what the report says is that these family members who have been dealing with Errol have reached out to Elon trying to get him to intercede in some way. And they basically say that he has not, while he has been offered financial support, he has not gotten involved with his father. And I think the way it reads is that he doesn't want anything to do with his father, and probably
hasn't for
probably especially because of these allegations.
Right.
And the father himself they reached out to him. He denied all of these allegations. He said the reports are false and nonsense in the extreme. He also claimed that he was only aware of even one of the abuse allegations, although apparently offered some context for the other ones once informed of them.
But he's not been charged with anything?
He's not been charged.
No, but
there
are
was
legal,
an investigation.
The investigation
that
involves
went nowhere.
documents as well, other than just allegations.
And sued at all?
Not according to
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any civil lawsuit.
No, it says
odd.
accused by family members, and and that
They said there was at least one police investigation that they knew of from their report. But
God, I read a biography on Elon, and I'm trying to remember. I think his mom and dad separated fairly early in his life.
He holds his mother in very high regard.
Because
She's a model, and he's like very close to her.
What happened was they separated, and then she struggled and had to get multiple jobs to support the family. But I remember this, that I want to say like 7, 8-ish, that he was 7
He was
or
around
8
that age.
He was basically raised by a
they
single mother
separated.
as part of his story.
He was raised by her.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm Maggie from California, and none of this is surprising to me with Elon's dad, and it also makes so much sense why he is estranged from his father. But what I find particularly disturbing is the fact that this has been allegedly going on for 30 years, and there have been 3 police investigations and no charges. It seems to me that the wealthy just keep getting away with the worst crimes.
You know, I got to say, it's really interesting. I read a book by one of the best authors in America, and they never raised this.
This is the Walter Eos.
Yeah, I don't remember this ever even being raised in the book. Did you read it?
Father is, I think, referenced in the book.
But did they reference any of these
I don't remember.
allegations?
Yeah, no,
Only
I don't
because it's
remember.
been going on, according to this report,
I
for
only
30
remember
years,
views
as
of
you
it.
said.
That's right.
Interesting.
Coming up.
The Schwarzeneggers all got back together. All 4 of the kids.
I actually have a little story.
Be right back.
Anybody hearing Little Sister Sledge in their ear? No? Nobody else is hearing it?
Little Sister Sledge?
We are family?
Oh.
Oh, what? I guess not.
I get it.
Does anyone know the story we're doing?
I know the story.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a Schwarzenegger family reunion.
It's going crazy.
Wow. You always thought I was, can't be that it was the actual transition. It was
I got it. I got it.
The Spice Girls covered We Are Family. Then I
Oh
would
my
know.
God.
Let's talk about the
covered it.
Schwarzenegger
Yes,
family.
the Schwarzeneggers all got back together. All 4 of the kids. You want to name them?
Yep,
I'm testing you.
Patrick, Chris, Catherine, Christina.
Excellent. Well done. All
They
right,
went
you
to
passed.
Nobu.
They went to Nobu
Fancy
on
schmancy
Monday
Nobu in
night.
Malibu.
Yep, I mean, it seemed like the coolest dinner ever. Arnold was there. His ex, Maria, was there, which I thought was kind of interesting.
They have family
seem like
dinner.
they're on good terms.
No, they do family dinners like this. They
Wow.
are
Was
still a
this
family.
just a family dinner, or was this a
Well, so
special
they
occasion?
had, I don't think it was a special occasion, but they did have their significant others. So Catherine, she's married to Chris Pratt. He was there. And then Patrick recently got married to Abby Champion. She was there as well. One person not there, not in the mix, maybe didn't get the invite, was Joseph Baena.
Yeah, that's
Well, we wouldn't have
Arnold's
expected that. You know
Arnold's
that's
other
not-
son, their half
I
brother.
actually have a little story.
Ooh, story
I
time.
ran into Chris Schwarzenegger
No
at
way.
the gym over
He's
the weekend.
been looking so good
Can I
lately.
tell you? And I know his trainer, and it's shocking what he's done. And it's not weight loss drugs; it is nutrition. What did he say to me? He said something to me about a teacher of his told him at some point that he was just going to fail at this. And
Aw, that's
I know.
horrible.
It was kind of a joke, but it was real.
He should have looked at that
Yeah.
teacher and been like, do you know what my father is?
I get
Yeah.
it.
I'm going to fail.
But he's done it, and he did it with hard work, and he's so impressive. He was so impressive.
He's lost a lot of weight. He's kind of becoming like the hot brother.
He looks amazing.
Yeah,
he looks
does.
amazing, but he's really an impressive
Stop
guy.
objectifying the Schwarzeneggers.
I'm Gina. I'm from Los Angeles. I have to disagree. I think Patrick is definitely the hottest brother. I hear he's up for American Psycho, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, is that right?
I heard, yeah.
He's up for American Psycho? Wow. We don't
I
know
can
if
see
it may be true. I don't know. What else you guys want to talk about?
I'm Jen from St. Louis, and Jimmy Kimmel is officially back after a wave of public support. Disney reversed the course, proving that free speech still matters. But fans made this happen, and it's a win for comedy.
We will see. One more.
Hello, I'm Love Jones, repping Brooklyn, New York, and I wanted to talk about Trump saying that Tylenol was linked to autism. It was known that Tylenol was one of the safest medication for pregnant women to take, so that came a little out of left field, and Trump can't even pronounce a generic name for Tylenol, so why would anybody take medical advice from him?
That was a moment when he tried. That was a big moment.
Let's see here.
There's somebody in his ear. Here's what. That's what happened.
Coming up.
There's a lot of things Shaq can do, as you know.
I know. He can actually
him.
play basketball. Did you know that?
He can play basketball, and he can DJ. Can he dance like Chris Brown? There's a viral dance going around. It's a Chris Brown dance, and Shaq is giving it a shot.
Be right back.
There's a lot of things Shaq can do, as you know.
I know.
As you know, you experienced firsthand trying to score.
He can
on
actually
him.
play basketball. Did you know that?
He can play basketball, and he can DJ. Can he dance like Chris Brown? I'm sure Shaq can dance. I've seen him dance, but
Did Chris
dancing
Brown bring
like
him on
Chris
stage?
Brown, no, but there is a viral dance going around. It's a Chris Brown dance, and Shaq is giving it a shot.
Cause you know I know you know you better tell I treat you well, I will. It's good I can tell, come give me hell, come here. Your fairy tale under your spell,
Okay, I mean, before you say
I
it,
got to see the Chris Brown version of it, but
I think he's really good.
it seems pretty good for a big
think-
man.
No,
Trust
I
me,
think it's totally impressive.
No, it's very funny.
Well,
I mean, no, I'm not going to say that to his face.
my frame of reference
because I
is
can't
me.
see to his face.
Exactly.